Hey, Scott and I decided to start early. I was telling him about my headphones decaying and falling apart, and he's going to tell me a true story.
I have this story. So first off, I have some Bose noise canceling head. I have several pairs of Bose noise canceling headphones. One pair and the ear cups are trashed, but it's corded, so I haven't bothered buying a new pair. I noticed the other day the ones I'm wearing now, which are Bluetooth, are starting to kind of crack. So I'm gonna. Luckily with Bose, you can replace them. So I'll probably order some. But I was telling Ellis or I started telling him. He said, "Tell it on the show." Wait, you want to tell it on the show? And I said, "Yeah, I'll tell it on the show." We were talking about getting latex in your ear or foam rubber in your ear. I was sitting in the, I was working on the computer here at the house one night. I don't know exactly what I was doing, but I was working on the computer. Been at work all day, and I kind of stuck my hand up to touch my ear, uh, just out of I don't know why, just out of
Yeah,
reflex or
it's
whatever.
one of those things you do.
Yeah, one of those things you do, rub your ear occasionally.
Yeah.
And I felt something sharp, and I thought I had a splinter in my ear. It felt like I had a wood splinter in my ear. It didn't
Huh.
hurt, and so I was kind of like, "What in the world?" And I pulled out a staple, like an open staple. Somehow it ended up in my ear, not
Good
deep in my ear,
God.
thank God. But it's like, oh my gosh, where? How did that? I have no idea how it got there.
That is
I don't. I
that's wacky.
I don't think
I,
I was even stapling that day. I don't staple at work all the time, so I don't
so
know.
you think you might have been stapling like a madman and accidentally just
No,
passed it
no,
up to your head level,
I
huh?
don't know.
Somehow.
I don't know. Well, it was open. Almost like you ever take a staple and you like hit the gun and you kind of fling it at somebody.
Uh huh. Yeah. Yeah.
It
Maybe
was
use it
almost
like.
like that, but that didn't happen. I mean, I don't use I mean, I have a stapler on my desk at work, but I don't use it that much.
It would require something like something that distracted you right at the exact same moment you were getting the staple in the ear. Some
Yeah.
sort of equal but opposite pain
Well,
that
it
would
didn't.
allow it.
It wasn't embedded in the flesh. It was just kind of sitting at the bottom part of my ear. It's like, good grief, But you immediately you're like,
Wasn't working its way around anyway. Yeah.
no. Thankfully, if it went my ear canal, then I'd really been like, oh my gosh.
Have you ever
So
had a real bad earache?
no, not really.
The
Have
only
you?
thing that's good about a real bad earache is if it's got the simple fix of pouring hot water into the ear canal.
Oh
There's
gosh.
nothing feels better than busting that wax up. If you've got a caused earache,
So
it's
yeah.
one of the great feelings in the world to have that quit hurting. Speaking of hurting, I had a tooth pulled out yesterday morning,
Oh
11
gosh.
o'clock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. That's another one of those things that's great to have it gone, you know.
Yeah.
Well, most people don't think that way. Most
Well,
people
yeah.
are
Most
still
people are like,
trying
oh,
to save all their teeth and all that. But I've got some, I'm in a kind of a downhill spiral or whatever you want to call it, where basically my next step is cleaning off all the upper teeth and getting a
upper plate or
upper
whatever they
plate.
call it. Yeah.
Yeah, and but I've still got enough that I'm not going to do it yet. This you can imagine how horrific this would this would make my. That's the reason you're looking at my paper, my sketch now instead of a video of my head. But no, usually the way I don't open my mouth too wide, and I feel like I get away with being a toothless hillbilly pretty much without too too.
When I'm around you, I never think about it. Like, oh my gosh, Ellis is
Yeah,
missing
so in
bunches.
other words, I'm not flashing my toothlessness too much. I
No.
know I know it still is on somebody's. If they talk to me a little bit, they say that guy's missing some teeth, isn't he? It's obviously going to be part of what I hit you with as an impression.
Well, it's funny you say that. My brother and I were talking about something the other day, and I was talking about how when I got because I got a couple crowns, and when I had the crown done, it was to me it was very it was very one of those, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a crown for the rest of my life kind of things.
Yeah.
You know, just one of
You
those
got to
things
maintain that.
when you get old. Oh God, and I kind of hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though I've lost one and it wasn't a huge deal,
Mm-hmm.
because I had most of my tooth. They just kind of took the top enamel off, but still.
Yeah, they, you know, it is just a glued-on tooth from that point forward.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's part of the thing, you know.
Yep. Yeah, it's part of it's part of your road to death. Yeah.
Your road to death.
The inexorable road to death.
Well, you know what? Like I tell them at work occasionally, which horrifies the younger crowd. I tell them, well, you know, I'm ready to die.
Oh, sure.
And they just go, oh my gosh. Well, of course, most of them don't have any kind of spiritual beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they don't, you know, they just figure, well, once you're gone, which is what I believe, of course. And so they, but even beyond that, it's like, well, I've had a pretty good run. I mean, I mean, somebody else might argue that my life has sucked, but I thought it was pretty good.
Oh,
you know?
That's the deal. Most people would be a jerk and would try to point out flaws in your life.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's funny we talk about this because I had a conversation with a guy about the comic industry, you know, and I said, well, you know, and I found, oh God, I went through a whole bout of depression. I'd say depression, not literally. I don't.
You
think,
just had some negative thoughts.
Well, because yes, because I was looking through. I had an idea that I would do a YouTube video about my rejection letters, and so I dug them out of my file cabinet.
Wow, that will bring on a wave of
oh God,
of the not so happy.
Well, the depressing thing about it, and this kind of goes with what you posted earlier this week.
Oh yeah.
Your Deadpool sample. The depressing
10 years ago.
Golly, that right there is depressing.
Yeah.
One of the depressing things about it, I guess, if you could say that, is at one point I was sending something to Marvel every other month, just about, maybe every third month, but I have rejection letters from multiple times a year, and it's the same guy, and it's obvious that he, you know, he's like, hey, this is better, you know, but you still need to work on this. You know, so I feel like, and this was when I was mailing them in, so I think he was keeping my copies, or I was making an impression on him or something. But, you know, at one point the guy quit Marvel, the submissions editor, and so it's like, oh, well, you know, and I go, God, if he just stayed, you know, I was getting, you know, good.
You had an inside track.
Of sorts, yeah. And so it's like, oh God, you know, if that was that realization was kind of depressing. I don't think at the time I realized how big of a deal it was that guy suddenly leaving Marvel. Mm-hmm. You know, but
yeah.
Kind of
he went to the foreign lands, right?
Yeah, I don't know where he ended up going. I don't know what. In fact, you know what? I had the thought to look him up on Facebook, but I haven't done it to see if he's on Facebook. But
it's like that guy that was my in on InWorld.
Yeah.
He all of a sudden one day he announced, "Hey, I'm leaving to greener pastures or whatever, and here's the new guy's number, and get a hold of him," and all that. And this guy, you know, had been like clockwork, sending me 2 or 3 things, or not 2 or 3 things, about one thing a month on average, and it was fun to work on that. New guy, I tried him, jingled him once. I guess I ought to try to find that letter again and jingle him again, but
you ought to reach out to him again.
But the deal? Yeah, well, the deal is what I imagine is almost all that in-world, all that in-world stuff will have surely gone the route of AI, unless there's just some sort of sentimental thing about.
I wouldn't assume
artists.
that. I wouldn't assume that. I think you should reach out to him if you're interested. Now, and that's what, you know. I don't. Here's the thing. I like to have stuff to do. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't need to, and just like this, I'm working on the Black Cricket, and I love it. Now I wish I was a little faster at it. I haven't got to work. This week has been terrible, and I've got other things, unfortunately, that are vying for my time.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't ever want to get to the state where I don't have anything to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, just I don't know. To me, that's what, as an artist, you should be working on stuff. I don't have to be like making money. I mean, I'm not making money on any of this stuff yet. But I think it all has potential.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that I need is just a little bit of motivation to be like, hey, this is now I should be farther along. This is the same page I was working on last Thursday, by the way. So I should be farther
along. You work pretty quick when you work, so
yeah.
There's probably always something in the back of your head that's kind of timing you. You know how long it'll take you.
Yeah, and I need to. I'm almost. We're going on vacation in 2 weeks, and so I'm kind of almost in vacation mode of what do I need to get done on the comic before I leave. I know there's some stuff. The technotainment stuff is taking off.
It is.
Oh my gosh! I mean, I haven't got any money. Don't get me wrong, but I'm supposed to meet with those guys tomorrow. And
well, you may get your vacation stomped on. Better watch it.
Well, I've told them I'm going on vacation. They can lump it. This is not a cheap vacation. I'm gonna cancel, but
yeah,
I've had vacations stomped on before. Well, in fact, today I was off work and one of my employees calls me. Hate to bother you at work, but I got a problem. Like, I didn't want to. And my heart just sank when the phone rang. I like my job. I hate when there's problems. I guess that's every job, but
yeah, that sounds like so many jobs. Like that's why they're paying you, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I need to and that's the thing. My brother and I are trying to get the storage unit started, get that going. That's the, that'll be. I keep thinking, God, when that happens, because the idea is I'll work 3 days and he'll work 3 days at it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be here we go.
Phenomenal is how it would be. Especially
there it is.
We're making
I wanted
money.
to share this. I've titled this thing the Octavia. What did I title it? The Octavia Agenda. This thing is a character design by Mike Hoffman, and I just got it today. And so the idea is that I've got a week to submit this. I think he's only taken 1 or 2 of them that come in. I've backed a lot of his crowdfund stuff. I guess that's the way he brings money in. Certainly he hasn't knocked himself out on his YouTube channel. I think he had a lot of potential as a YouTube channel, but he just is one of these guys just likes to walk around and talk to his video camera.
I've watched some of them. His one about walking in the river and stuff. I mean, he's an interesting dude.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
So what do you got to do with this?
This is the character sheet, the model sheet, kind of a turnaround, and he makes some editorial notes about Octavia is unlike most other heroines in the comics landscape, mainly because she's in total control and don't take no stuff. That's not to say she never strips down for her sacred rituals and bathing, but it ain't for fanboy titillation. That's the real reason Hoffman wrote the novels, which is interesting. Maybe they are just graphic novels, but he might have written a novel or two. To get the concept across, no, it says to get the concept across without pics. That's interesting. So he wrote as a novelist. I didn't know that.
What are you doing? I'm confused.
I'm just going to do a, it says, well, I'll read the email to you and try not to cut our connection off. Here we go. I'll open it up and read it. And everybody, I assume, that supports him every now and then probably got this, that the Octavia Project needs you. get your, see the model below. If you're a devoted artist, there's still 1 week time slot to get your Octavia illustration in the book. See the model sheet below. Oh, so there may be several. I mean, it may be, you know, like everybody that sends one gets it in.
Maybe, or all the good ones at least.
All the good ones. So see the model sheet below and send your black and white 8.5 by 11, 300 DPI to email. I think I should give that out. I better not, I guess.
Nah, don't give it out. If anybody that needs it got the email.
Yeah, it's a Hotmail.
Nice.
People are. What do you think of, or have you seen Lucifer painting by Franz von Stuck?
I don't know what that is. Do
The
you know
Lucifer,
what that is?
I would imagine it's some painting during right before Hitler came to power. I'm not sure. D, what is it? I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
Do we know D? I don't recognize D.
Well, I think she came on and had some information for me about catching cats one time.
Oh, okay. So it was D is helpful.
Yeah, she
Awesome.
Not necessarily a troll.
Well, I wasn't implying that.
Franz von Stuck. Let me see. I got to spell this right.
I'm gonna show you something while you're looking this up. I will show you what
Okay.
I'm reading. Have you seen this? Have you seen this book?
Let me look.
I don't know. Can you see that? I got it in the right spot.
Oh, let me solo you.
Well, you don't have to solo me.
Yeah,
Well, you
sure
can.
we will. Why not?
Why not?
Because I can. Let me close this.
Use that power wisely.
There we go. Hide. Grim. Bring it down a little bit.
Oh.
Oh, now is this a novel? Grim
It is a
Death and
novel.
Bill. Ah, okay. The Electrocuted Criminal. Cool.
You see that? Who wrote it?
Mike Mignola.
And whoever that guy is.
Thomas. I wonder how Mignola did it. Did he do total James Patterson and hand him an outline?
I have no idea, but it's pretty good. I'm about.
It is good, huh? Well, that's all you
Yeah.
have to say. It's like,
Well,
hey, I'm enjoying this.
It's not like James Patterson there, but I wanted to point it out to you because I think it'd be something you'd be interested. Grim Death is a character. It takes place in, I don't know, the 20s or 30s, something like that. Character, he's a pulp character. It's the character on the front cover. That's Grim Death, and he is. I would call him. He wears a mask of a skull. I don't want to give too much away in case you decide. And there's an audiobook version of it, by the way, that the library has. But he basically can see dead people, and he is driven by them to solve their murders. And so it's interesting. I'm enjoying it. And
I like the idea of motivated guys that we don't think anything about them because they are just in our lives and we're ordinary things, but they at this point are, they got something weird and extraordinary about them.
Oh yeah,
the supernatural.
Yeah, he's kind of a Batman. He's got money. I don't really know where his money came from. His family had money. You see the story kind of goes back and forth between his childhood and the present. And so we're kind of I've seen, it kind of explains how he got this ability, And he's got
I'm sharing the painting there.
Oh.
Let me see what year this was. Friends wants 1797 painting of Lucifer. Doesn't it? It looks well. My first reaction when I'm looking at it is that could be somebody's statement today about trying to almost make it banal,
Yeah.
B-A-N-A-L.
Yes.
Making some sort of
like commentary.
statement about here's Lucifer just hanging out, messing around with his wings. Got great anatomy. It is great anatomy, And and this is, by the way, this looks like it's been manipulated a little bit. It's a print.
Oh yes, it's pretty vibrant for a
It's
painting.
yeah,
Or at least
it's very it's very dark when you look at the rest of your choices for looking at it. But I wanted to have it be able to show
oh,
up.
gotcha.
And just loose for sitting around. It's also weird in terms of like if that's the entire painting, it's interesting how he's used his landscape of.
Yeah, well, I feel like there's something cropped off on the right
Yeah,
side.
it does feel cropped. I'm going to have to check on this, but I'm feeling now like I have seen it before, and that is kind of the way it is.
Oh, okay. I've never seen it, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, also we're seeing it I'm looking at it on my TV screen up there. So the
hmm
white area it may go all the way. It may look normal, but there's artifacts on that right edge, and it almost looks like
yeah,
it's cropped from a magazine picture or
yeah. It might be,
something.
it might be.
And so,
Yeah. So anyway, that's pretty cool. It's got a big amount of rendering on here. I'll see what happens when I decide to get in close. Here we go.
I'm
Yeah.
reminded. I'm reminded at work in our Princeton plant, we brought a new heat treating oven to heat treat dyes, and they're having trouble with it, and so it's a big deal. It's like, well, why are we having trouble with this? And so I was talking to somebody about it, and they'd called the plant manager up there, and he said, well, I talked to the people, and they're not helpful, and we bought it, and they're kind of like not helping us figure out what our problems are. And he said, well, what was the name of the company? And he said, oh, well, it was a company called Lucifer Furnaces. And we're like, well, that's your problem. You're messing around with the dark side. No
Yeah.
wonder. Anyway.
That's interesting. Anybody name themselves like that for a professional corporate kind of thing. It also looks a bit like he didn't have it on the easel that long. It looks like he rendered the heck out of about 10% of it, and but I dig it. I mean, I do dig it.
Yeah, it's a decent looking painting. I don't
Yeah,
know what it.
like I say, in terms of modernity, his idea of making it totally blazed out white color of the eye is kind of an interesting choice. To have it be the same. And where do you get that idea from? Well, everybody's encountered animals
Oh yeah,
whose eyes reflect white, even in the 1700s, you would be saying, "Hey, you know how a cat's eyes
glow.
flare back at you."
Yeah.
If some of these things we think are so cool and unique to us, being on the farm might be the best. Ray Bradbury talks about. Have you ever? Oh, I guess it was Nasser. He's been on the show before in terms of
Yeah.
like commenting and stuff.
Yeah.
And he made a comment about this thing he always returns to from Ray Bradbury, talking about this crucial time where he was coming back from a funeral and just wasn't having any of it. Didn't want to go in for, just didn't want to be at a funeral. And he was a
Yeah.
kid, and there sitting, as an option was something where he could run away from the family and run down across the field and be at a carnival. And
Oh.
that's what he did.
That's
It sounds like hey kid, you don't get to choose to just run off and go to a carnival, but apparently he was that kind of kid, and he did, and but then he got to meet the guy that sat in the electric chair,
Oh
you know,
yeah,
and
Mr. Sparky or whatever they called
yeah,
him.
Mr. Sparky and all that, and it is a pretty cool story, because you read it with today's things that go on in your brain in terms of like what could happen to a kid that does that. because this Sparky took him off by himself. He wanted to talk to him. And the reason he wanted to talk to him was he saw in him basically what he thought was a return of his best friend. Basically, we're talking reincarnation. He wanted to tell Bradbury he was looking at his best friend that he lost in World War One when he looked at him.
Oh gosh.
And, I know it sounds creepy and weird, but for some reason that whole thing, Bradbury says that just touched off about everything that could be touched off in him, creativity.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
And it's like, okay, this guy was the influence. And it is a fun little essay. I'll have to send you the link to it.
Yeah, send me a link to it because it's interesting.
I'll link it below since we got somebody that may wander in here and want to hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do that. Before I forget, are you using the matte Blackwing?
Oh, I sure am. How'd you? Yeah, you can see that. I see it real time.
I can see you using a Blackwing, and
yeah.
I knew you like. How many? So, and when I'm in New York at Books Kunakonia, they sell them. How much are you paying for? How much are you paying for them?
What do they cost? About $2 a piece, probably, at that thrift store where we stopped at.
The stationery store.
Stationery store.
Yeah, a little different than a thrift store, but yeah,
different than a thrift store.
But okay, you like if
I dig them.
If I could find a deal on them while I'm in New York, I should pick you up some.
Find you a deal. What is I'll tell you the retail on them before.
Or let me know. Yeah, no, I'll be here next Thursday. So look it up between now and next Thursday.
Okay. You don't want me distracting myself. Okay.
No. Figure that out. But it's funny that you're talking about Ray Bradbury because, okay, so we were talking before we started recording. One of the things I've been working on is I've been directing these videos. Well, I say directing. That's what they call me. I don't know if that's the appropriate term for what I'm doing, but we're doing these videos. And as much as I hate to say it, they're AI videos, but it's for this startup company that wants to do all this stuff. And I've got the idea. I've pitched the idea of doing what I'm calling bumpers. Hey, it's Dan. It's right here.
Yeah, and he wants to see the good stuff.
I
didn't know if you'd see that or not.
I did see that. So,
okay.
So you know how like television stations will do like a little blurb where they'll show something, and then like MTV used to do it. They'd show a little thing and then show their logo.
Mm-hmm.
I pitched the guy what we ought to do because we've done videos for holidays. We did one for 4th of July. We did one for Memorial Day. I said we ought to do a series of them like seasonal. Do one for fall, and so we were talking about the one for fall, and I told him that I felt like it should be very Ray Bradbury inspired. And he was familiar with Ray Bradbury, and he agreed. It's interesting. These
autumn
guys,
people.
Yeah, I don't,
not quite that. Not
quite that on the nose.
Don't go there.
Well, it's funny. I'm working with these guys, and the main guy I'm working with, the one that does the AI videos, him and I, which he does the music too, and him and I are like on the same page about, just this kind of like, we like the way this feels, and that sort of thing. You tell that to a lot of people, and they just kind of look at you like, "What are you talking about? It's a video, or it's a clip of But this guy gets it. Some of the stuff.
Well, my throwaway idea of trying to hunt up the Bungles or whatever they were called. What were they called? The ones that wrote "Radio Killed the Video" or "Video Killed the Radio Star."
The
Bugles.
But no,
yes.
What was it?
I don't know.
I've got that on my phone.
I bet Dan knows. Let me look. We'll see what Dan's saying. That's the King of the Hill deep cut. Wait a second.
What?
Let's see what else Dan has been saying. You need one for Angie Dickinson's birthday. What would that have referred to if I'd been timely in catching it?
Yeah, we will do one for Angie Dickinson's birthday.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh God. Well, and this is the deal. The next one we're working on is the one for Austin, because we may be going to Austin City Limits.
Is Angie Dickinson still alive?
In our hearts.
Yeah, policewoman, and not to mention a lot of other stuff. For me, Angie Dickinson's biggest moment, because I think Clu Gallagher decided to do a big favor for her and give her a moment where she didn't even have to act. He hung her out the window in The Killers, and she had to act afraid.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, Clu Gallagher, method actor, has got me hanging out the window.
Nice.
And I can't expect any sympathy from Lee Marvin.
No.
Yeah. The Angie Dickinson quote is by Cotton Hill. Oh, yeah.
Who's Cotton Hill? Oh, is that Hank Hill's dad?
And she is still alive. Yeah, that's a King of the Hill deep cut.
No. Oh, okay. Oh, she's still alive?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I tell you, these older women that are around you don't know about, and all of a sudden it's like, what? She's 102 years old and finally died?
Speaking of, I watched not all of, but most of Sky High today, Ellis.
Oh my goodness!
Well, you were talking about that last week, and so
What do you think?
I thought it was pretty good, and I was like, then I realized Kelly Preston passed away in 2020 from cancer.
Oh my God! I did not know that.
Yeah, well now you do. I'm sorry to tell you.
Wow, she's great as the mom.
Oh yeah, that is a great show. What's funny is I checked out the library, and I got it, and I thought, you know what? I wonder if it's on streaming. It's on Disney. I got Disney. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was a Disney thing.
Yeah, you could have watched it for free. Well, you still are watching it for free.
I took the one back to the library, and I've been watching it on Disney.
Dan is a Angie Dickinson fan. I just watched her in Big Bad Mama and Big Bad Mama 2. Those were good outings for the Corman.
Is that
outfit.
The one where she's I think I've seen the first one. She's like a moonshiner or something, and she's got 2 or 3 daughters.
She's stepping into what's her crazy
oh yeah, that
crazy lady's shoes there. I think she's playing the exact same gangster woman, the famous Ma Barker. I think she's Ma Barker all over again.
I think she's got 2 daughters. If I remember right, she's got 2 daughters.
Yeah. I never will be as embarrassed probably as watching the scene involving sex in the car when I was watching that with my
with your mom?
No, with my uncle and aunt.
Oh gosh, that made me worse.
Yeah. But they were into it because that was that particular part of Arkansas sex life, getting out in the car and.
Oh yeah.
She is a depression or a gangster.
Yes.
Yeah, just that, or is she Ma Barker? I think she's Ma Barker. And Shelley Winters is who I was trying to think of. She does really star-studded kind of thing because it's Robert De Niro, one of his first big roles, playing a glue-sniffing boy. And, of course, the big deal about that movie is the just straight-up incest across the board.
Oh,
Ma Barker in that. And, of course, Shelley Winters, too. Got with William Shatner in the first one and Robert Culp in the second. Oh, wow, Shatner's in that Big Bad Mama. I might watch it just for that. And I like Culp, too. Culp is one of those guys that just ended up on TV because they liked him, and you know, you go the direction the stream pulls you, and that was his his road, but he could have maybe been a bigger screen guy. Of course, nothing about his Walter Hill movie he did with Bill Cosby indicates that they kind of like had a pairing again. You know, they were I Spy
yeah.
together.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And Walter Hill wrote this very gritty, real movie with Cosby and, you know, after Dirty Harry, basically, you know.
Oh, yeah.
She had 2 daughters and both.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I remember.
Shatner has a sex scene. Well, that's worthwhile.
Is it?
Some things that have been seen can never be unseen. That's right.
Yes. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
As long as he doesn't use the two-handed overhand
Chop.
smashing grip on her, anybody,
The
that's
axe
all right.
chop.
As long as that's not part of his sex life.
The axe grip.
Yeah.
Oh, Shatner.
Yep. It's always fun to read about who he's getting angry at. Most recently, you know, it's like he's always got somebody that's rubbed him wrong, and which I like. You know, it's like someone imagines that they're talking to him on some level that will rub him the wrong way.
Yeah. I wonder if he gets residuals off of Star Trek.
Oh, well, that could rub you the wrong way. He made enough off of them by the time they turned them into movies. No captain's log. That's good. No captain's log. That good. Shat is a legend. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Dave. Dan doesn't know Dave, but my friend Dave that I do the podcast with on Fridays, he went to a con, I forget where, I think it was in Dallas, and paid to get Shatner's autograph and get a picture with him. And he said he went back there, and you know, they ushered you in, and there were 2 stools there, and he said Shatner just sat there. And you sat next to him, they took the picture, and you moved on. And he said, Dave said later, he was where you picked him up. He went there, and they had them all up, you know, and some of them, like Shatner was obviously bored, or he had his eyes closed, or the person was moving. You know, there was no, hey, let's get another one just in case, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that sort of cash grab can be kind of hard on the ego, I'm assuming. Everybody comes up and like,
I don't
just
know.
imagine the unending wave of people that come up and give you that.
Yeah, I don't know what he makes off of a deal like that. I wouldn't want to do it.
Oh no.
You know, that'd be a freaking nightmare.
Which it's just been the week of the con, so that sort of thing went on.
Yeah.
In a big way, you know,
Yep.
people having to put up with. That's what I loved about the con, though. This time, I've watched a lot of videos of it. Everybody just forgot they ever wore a mask, and that's the way it ought to be.
Yeah. Well, I saw a bunch of people were complaining about getting COVID.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've always had the con flu, and
Sure.
COVID is not going anywhere since there was no cure for coronavirus. Right. It's out there. It's going to always be ready to catch again. You guys ever see Free Enterprise? He plays himself, and it's hilarious.
No,
I imagine it could be.
I've not seen it. You never got COVID, did you, Ellis?
I never did.
Well, that's
so. Well, I'm not.
I mean, because
around people.
You're not out much. Yeah, the only person you get it from is me.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
You go.
But you had it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of the news out of San Diego Comic-Con, which is what? Robert Downey Jr. as Doom. I guess that's the news, huh?
I love what somebody said. They said this is the equivalent of the MCU putting a full cover on a comic. You know, it's just a please pay attention to us kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I'd have to see is he playing Doom? Is he playing Stark as Doom?
Well, what do they want out of Doom? That's what I wonder. I mean, why would you put somebody? Do you have it? You could
I
have
don't
it.
know.
Well, I guess that's the deal. As an actor, he can do anything. He was good in Oppenheimer. It was a very good role for him. I like that. I'm trying to think of other Robert Downey Jr. roles. You know,
Tropic Thunder.
he was great in that one Shane Black wrote about the he and Val Kilmer running around as guys just stepping in it every inch of the way in the movie. A good movie. I forget what it's called. Shane Black, though. Shane Black, he wrote The Nice Guys, too, with Russell Crowe and the guy that's in the guy that looks like Deadpool. The actor, what's his name? Hell, he's in everything. He was in Barbie. I forget his name.
Ryan Russell. Ryan.
Ryan.
Whatever.
No. The other one. The other one that
Oh.
looks like Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, I don't know.
He was in La La Land.
I
What is
don't
his
know.
name?
You know, I never saw La La Land.
And God Forgives, I Don't, which is a trippy movie, let me tell you. What is his name? I'm going to type in Herbie and get a quick hit. Tell you in a split second.
You do that.
I say that.
Yeah, then you can't find anything.
There we go. Ryan Gosling.
Oh.
He's just in everything. He was great in Chaplin. He's just another dude playing a dude. In the FF leaks. Oh, the Fantastic Four leaks. Okay, yeah, the showing off.
I don't know why you'd use the big Fantastic Four villain for your first out of the gate, but whatever. I'm happy it's in the 60s. I think that'll be good. That it might as well be its own universe at that point, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a shame they had never show me. I want to see what the Thing makeup looks like, and then I'll tell you what I think about it.
Yeah, how much trouble they're going to go to with the Thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, sell me on some of the big moments of the Fantastic Four. It's only the one that could be, ought to be, the whole flagship of the whole mess.
Absolutely.
If it was done right. But,
could be.
You know, yeah.
Well, yeah. I think Marvel, their MCU is looking to course correct somehow.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
which
yeah.
I mean, I want them to. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, everybody likes good entertainment. I'm about what would it be, 90 minutes deep into this prime showing of the latest Mission Impossible. I'm digging it. You know. So. You know, obviously these things, when they go to that much trouble to make a movie, just almost something wrong with you if you don't like it. You know, they've just spent the money and got the writing done to a T before they started, and they're ready for you.
Yeah.
It's got some. The only thing I really almost could think about dragging myself out for that I know I would dependably love would probably be the latest Despicable Me, because I've loved every one of those, every offering that they've done on
Now
those
wait,
things.
is that the movie with the Minions?
Yes.
No. Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Michelle and I were watching Adam the Woo thing, and he
Uh-huh.
was showing a picture of a building at Universal Studios, and he said, there's a big eye up there. And I told Michelle, I go, well, that's a Minion.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, you know, I know about Minions, but I don't think I've ever seen a movie with a Minion in it.
Oh my gosh. So you
Sorry.
are waiting to discover all of that universe, huh? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you
I don't know
if you
anything
ever
about
get
it.
around to it, you've got a few hours worth of solid entertainment. That's all I can say.
Well, you turned me on to Sky High, and so far I'm enjoying that.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah.
How far are you into that? Where you
Oh
at?
gosh. The kid has got his powers.
Oh, he's got his powers. Yeah, old Bruce Campbell's pretty funny in it, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Boomer,
yeah.
sidekick. Yeah,
He's
yeah,
got it. Yeah, he's got his powers. He's
yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to think what happened last when I watched it. Can't remember. The dad, he got punted. He fought that kid, and they burned down the cafeteria, and he got in
Yeah,
trouble.
yeah.
And his dad took him downstairs to the
War and
sanctum.
Peace, War and Peace. Yeah,
Yeah, and he was like, "Don't tell your mom. Tell her
yeah,
that you're in trouble." But that's
yeah,
awesome,
yeah.
you know.
I tell you that when you think about the history of Kurt Russell on Disney movies, Barefoot,
Oh yeah,
and the
computer
computer
wore
wore
tennis
tennis shoes, all that
shoes.
stuff. I mean, just from a little kid on, it's fun to think about coming around to that putting a bracket on that one.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm so glad I did was when I went and listened to him talk at the Cowboy Hall of Fame. You
Yeah,
know,
that sounded like that was a great thing to be around. Yeah, yeah,
it was pretty cool. I was hope he talked about his Western stuff more than anything, but that's okay. I mean, he knew his audience,
yeah,
obviously.
sure. Well, yeah, and all that stuff about if he hadn't have stepped up instead of everybody's favorite Western being Tombstone,
Oh
it
yeah,
would have been everybody goes back to Hollywood and
it'd be
complains to
Heaven's
their
Gate.
agent about this movie that
It,
that
it,
didn't get made.
it'd be
Yeah.
like Heaven's Gate all over again.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
But
definitely.
he stepped up. Everybody says that. There's nobody. It's almost like let's keep this a secret. This man, is the
Well, and that
director
says
of record, and let's just keep our mouth shut. But everybody feels like finally giving it up, saying,
oh
"No, no,
yeah,
Kurt
it was Kurt
directed this thing."
Russell. Well, and that speaks volumes, I think, about him
Uh huh.
as a person, that he didn't just come in and go, "I've got to fix this," and then I'm going to tell everybody. He was,
Yeah.
he kept it, and he had no reason to.
Yeah.
There was nothing in it for him to keep it a secret. It was, in fact, the opposite.
It's weird though. I mean, some people had a bad time with that particular director. Other people, apparently, he's just a guy that is a good director. In fact, his son directs those really odd films called Mandy, a really weird one
Oh yeah.
with Cruz
No,
and
no, no. It's Nicolas Cage.
Nick Cage. You're right, Cruz, and yeah. The other one that's really weird is something about the Black Rainbow. That
Hmm.
is a weird movie,
I have
but
not
I
seen
dug it.
either one of those. You dug it? Is that what you said?
Oh yeah, I dug it. Yeah, it was. It's one of those things that he claims his biggest, what made me films that made me. He's very much a Tarantino kind of inspired kind of film creator because he was made by that particular era of VHS rentals at
Oh yeah.
Blockbuster that were kind of cheesy and cheap, but also were people saying, "Hey, we can do anything," and what they did was kind of wacky,
Yeah.
So
Oh, there's a
he's
great.
got that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead. Well, he's got that in his system, and it comes out. Wait a second. Did Russell say much about his dad being Scott? Okay.
Yes.
I would have cast a 22-year-old
Oh,
Kurt Russell as Black Cricket.
100%. Okay, so let me give you. So in Oklahoma City is the National Cowboy and Western Performers Hall of Fame, and and Bing and Kurt were both inducted into the Hall of Fame. Of course, Bing has passed away. And so I think they wanted to, part of their deal, I don't know if they wanted to induct Kurt and not his father, and maybe he made him a deal that they both be inducted, but they were both inducted into it. And as part of that, Kurt came, and they had a banquet, which I could have went to. I could have, because I'm a member of the museum. Members could, I think it's open to the public, but members could buy like tickets, and then Kurt Russell came and did kind of a Q&A for, I don't know, an hour or two. It was really cool.
That is cool.
It didn't sign autographs or anything, just kind of,
He was there to say, hey, how you guys doing?
Yeah, just talk about his career. He was interviewed by somebody, I forget who. I don't know if it was a director for the museum or what, but it was very cool to hear him talk. Because I'm a big fan of Kurt Russell, several of his movies, but he didn't talk about, they kept it mostly on westerns.
Talk about Bone Tomahawk?
He did talk about Bone Tomahawk.
I'll be damned. What did he say about it?
I can't remember what he.
Okay,
I haven't seen it. I've not seen Bone Tomahawk.
It turns out that you don't really like movies, Scott. We've talked about 10 movies that you've confessed to not seeing today.
Well, I've told you when I was a kid, we never went and saw movies.
Yeah.
That was, in fact, I have a fairly large collection of novelizations of movies because I knew that I wouldn't get to see them.
Go see them. Huh.
I wasn't allowed to go see movies when I was a kid. I had to basically learn to drive. That was my one act of rebellion, I guess, as a kid. Other kids smoked pot and got girls pregnant. I went to see movies.
Yep. That sounds like a way to go.
Yeah, I got in a lot less trouble that way.
Yeah.
So the band of movies worked. I wanted to go see them, and that's what I wanted to do.
I forget what this guy's religion was that I hung out with so much when I was a kid, but he absolutely wasn't allowed to go see movies either. And that just seems so odd to me because my mom, that was her big way to have me taken care of for the day, was take me to the old Yale and Nob Hill Theater in in the Capitol Hill area. Just dump me for the day, It's like it was awesome. And and so it just seemed odd to not be able to go to movies.
It's interesting because the rationale was that all of Hollywood is basically corrupt.
Yeah. You don't want it reaching your. You know what? In terms of mind control, it makes perfect sense.
Keep it out.
Keep that out of my kid's head. Whatever they're selling,
keep it out of
keep it out
my head.
Yeah.
And even if you're seeing good movies, they're part of the system.
Sure.
It's hard. Looking back, it's hard to argue with it.
No, there's nothing to argue about with it. It is definitely, you can't escape it.
Yeah.
Wait a second, let's catch up with Dan. I'm looking down at drawing.
Godzilla accepted, of course.
She works with the Golden Spurs group that honors classic westerns.
I think you missed something. You may have to go back.
And she is Glenn Strange's nurse. Wait a moment, no, I didn't miss anything.
Well, that says niece, not nurse.
Okay. She's Frankenstein's nurse. Okay. He was Sam, the bartender on Gunsmoke, and the last actor to play the Frankenstein monster, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You would love Julie. Somewhere in here he mentions a Julie. I didn't see it.
Oh, if you like westerns, you would love Julie. Is that a movie?
No, it's the person he's talking
actress.
about.
Oh.
She works with the Golden Spur group. He thinks he sent send on something and he didn't. Find that thing you think you typed up there or type it over again. About Julie.
We'll talk after this.
Yeah. But anyway, his energy level, like you're saying, in Sky High, God, that's so great. The whole dad energy of like saying, the whole "you're in trouble, son," and then sneaking off
Yeah.
with him and being, just totally on his side. That was great.
Yeah, that reminds me. I was talking to a guy at work. I was in his office the other day, and he was talking about his wife had to leave town for a couple days, and
Uh,
he said I didn't do anything, and he said my wife when she got back she's like, "What'd you do?" And he goes, "I didn't do anything," and she's like, "What? Wait, what did you do?" And he's like, "You know what I did? I just sat in my chair and enjoyed the peace and didn't do anything."
quiet.
It's like,
Pete, nobody getting me up to go do something they think I need to
yeah,
be doing.
exactly. And I was like, he told me a story. He told me a story about they have three dogs, and one of the dogs, he was doing something, making toast or something, and the dog, apparently his 100-pound lab, stuck his head up on the counter and got part of it. He was buttering toast, and there was a little bit of butter in the thing. The dog got the butter, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!" He turns around and sees the dog just licking the empty butter dish, and he's like, "Oh my!" And he said it wasn't that much. He said just a little bit, but he said the dog and I spent the rest of the day out on the back patio just making sure in case. He said I didn't know if he was going to come out one end or the other, but he said I didn't dare tell my wife because she'd have been like, "I got to take the dog to the vet now," you know.
What? Look at Dan. Dan says, Ellis, go up 5 messages from this one. One, two, three, four, five. Scott, I would have cast a 22-year-old Kurt Russell as
Oh,
Black.
I saw that one.
And then, right underneath it, she works with the Golden Spur group that honors classic westerns. Maybe mine blipped,
Maybe so.
but I've not got the extra one. But that's interesting that she's the niece of
Frankenstein, the
Frankenstein.
last Frankenstein.
Well, he's the bar.
Well,
That's where everybody sees him and knows him. He was the bartender in Gunsmoke. You only saw him for 30 years serving up that frothy beer.
what needs
I,
to
I always,
happen? What needs
yeah,
to happen is Dan needs to come to Oklahoma City one of these days.
there you go.
Not this summer. it's
Yeah, well,
it was
give it.
like 100 today. Yeah, give it
Yeah,
a
it's
little
going to
bit.
be 100 for a few more days. It's going to be like August last year, pretty hot all the way through it. But it gives us a break. Goes down to 90 a few times, and that's all I ask of it. Just don't be 100 every day of
Well,
the whole month.
somebody pointed out on my Facebook page that in 20 is it 2012 or 2011 we had 65 days over 100.
Oh my God!
I
That,
remember that.
what a
It was,
hell! What a hell!
yeah, yeah. Well, it's always hot in Oklahoma this summer. It's just part
Yep.
of it, unfortunately. You
Yep.
know.
Hmm.
But yeah, today was what's bad, Ellis, is today I went out on the back patio. I was doing some stuff. I was off today, like I told you, so I was working in the yard a little bit, and
Hmm.
I was like, man, it is nice out here. I should be
Yeah,
downtown.
it was catching a breeze every now and then. Yeah, it was good.
But it was this was at like 9 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was like, oh. And I'm off tomorrow, and I told Michelle, I go, I may go downtown with you in the morning and like leave at 9:30. I don't
Hmm.
know. I don't
You
know.
gotta
I
get that
gotta.
walk down.
Well, I just walked around the neighborhood this morning. I'll probably do that again tomorrow. But I got to meet with the Technotainment guy tomorrow. They wanted to meet one more time before I left town, and I told them
Okay.
next week I'd be too busy.
Okay, this was, I asked if you had seen my friend Julie Ann Ream on Facebook. She
Oh
responds to a lot
no,
of posts I make on classic movies.
I am
If you
not.
love westerns, you would love her. I
Oh
love a good measure of westerns. I'm always up for a stranger comes to town storyline. I could
yeah.
probably write stories just with that trope for the rest of my life, basically, in terms of like as it being something that I always find compelling.
Do I love westerns? Let's see. My last name is Sackett.
Yeah.
Probably the most famous western stories outside of Zane Grey, maybe, involve characters named Sackett.
Louis L'Amour.
Yeah, I grew up reading tons of Sackett books. Read all
and
the
that's
Sackett
a guy
books.
that knows how to tell a doggone story. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Louis L'Amour.
I've told you the story about New York, haven't I? About when we were in New York.
And what? And this circles
door.
back to Louis L'Amour somehow?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
So we were in New York a couple of years ago, and so Michelle is she's on the board for the Illuminating Engineering Society. They have offices in New York City down on Wall Street. So Michelle, we go there, and Michelle, sends me a text, says, "Hey, come here and meet me." She showed me where they were at. So she said, "Hey, come here. You'll have to give your name to the doorman, and he'll give you a pass and come up to the 13th floor or whatever." So I said, "Okay." So I go there, and I tell the doorman, "Hey, I'm meeting my wife." He goes, "What's your name?" And I go, "It's Scott Sackett." I had to fill out a thing. He goes, "Oh, are you related to the Louis L'Amour Westerns?" And I laughed, and I said, "Well, supposedly Louis L'Amour based that on research he did on actual people named Sackett, and I've been told that all the Sacketts in America are related to each other. So
there."
So I said, "Yeah," and he goes, "Oh," and he thought that was cool, and he told me how much he liked him. He's a big black guy. So we go. So I go. He gives me my pass. I go upstairs. We go out to eat, and so it's one of those deals where every time you go in, you got to check in with the doorman, right? So as a group, we go out to eat, and we come back, and he's still there. And he goes, "Oh, you all are friends of Mr. Sackett? Go on up." And everybody's looking at me like, "What the?"
Cool.
And then we went back like 6 months later, and the guy saw me, and he goes, "Oh, Mr. Sackett, welcome back."
He's got you. In his inventory.
I made an impression on him, or he has the whatever.
He's got that skill. He's got a people skill. Never forgetting a face.
He's a doorman.
Yeah,
That'd be a great skill. He probably knows everybody that comes in there in and out on a regular basis.
One of his biggest times of the year is the tip time for Christmas tips. He's been personable throughout the year. That's his moneymaker time.
Well,
but that's me saying that.
So Michelle's friend, she used to live in the building next to the Dakota.
Hey, wait a second. I catch up with Dan. I'm sorry. We got to do a Western then. Well, heck, yeah, do a Western. If you love Westerns, you would love her. Meanwhile, I got to roll, he says. And later, guys. Hey, Dan, thanks for dropping in. I'm sorry. I was doing a lot of looking down today.
Well,
trying to concentrate.
We need to have Dan on again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, maybe. Dan as a physical, hear his voice. Yeah. Actually, that'd be better for drawing and all that, and him keeping the free associative stuff going. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we'll see what Dan. Maybe I'll remind you next week. Maybe we can do it next week before I leave.
Oh yeah, and considering I've been talking or threatening or whatever to shorten this show, we're at an hour and 3 minutes, Scott.
Sounds like a good time to stop then.
Yeah. You've told a Sackett story, and
I've told a Sackett story.
Several good stories.
I've told you my book that I checked out of the library that you should look for.
Oh yeah, and we had it started out with check out the painting of Lucifer and probably cast a pall over the entire show.
Probably.
No, that was good. That was interesting.
666 viewers.
Yes, that's right. Be our greatest success.
I am
look forward to it.
Before you go, let me say this. I'm up to 966 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So if you don't subscribe to my YouTube channel, it's right there. Scott Sackett 8790. Please take a second to subscribe.
It's also linked below. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
and,
ahead.
and if you'll subscribe and shoot me a comment or a DM or whatever, I'll reciprocate to your channel if you'd like me to, and if not, that's fine too. But I'm trying to get. I mean, not that I'm going to monetize, but one of the bars is 1,000 subscribers. So I think if I
Yeah.
I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers. I'm so close. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that whole get the numbers up
Yep.
is what it's about on YouTube. I just subscribed to a guy that made his own little electric vehicle he takes out on abandoned train tracks.
Oh gosh.
And just because that's a fascinating little hobby to stick on your make a YouTube channel out of. So here you go. I'll give you a click.
I've watched a guy that has a paramotor. I don't know if you know what that is, but he's got it's a big parachute wing with a fan on his back, and so it's not a glider. It's
I know what that is.
Flies.
Yeah.
It's and it's interesting. The guy lives somewhere in the country, and he'll fly over the fields and flew into town and stuff. And
that'd be great to have in L.A. and say, screw this congestion.
Screw traffic. Hey, I saw a woo tonight while I was eating supper. We watched a little bit of a woo, and woo was in traffic. It was early in the morning, and he was waiting in a line to get on the Santa Monica freeway.
Oh my God! Oh man, I've lived that.
Oh, it looked like hell on earth, dude.
It is. It is. Well, and yet, this heat makes me think I want to go back to that hell. And of course, see the San Diego Comic-Con, and one of the first things that ought to just keep me from even wanting it again is the crush of all the people. And it's like, no, I love that. I love that at the time. Yeah. But I don't think I would. I don't think the person that I am today would love it. So it's hard, it's hard to shake it.
I get it. I mean, don't get me wrong. All last week I was thinking about, man, I kind of wish I was in San Diego. But then I go, and I see people reading about how hard it was to get a hotel and how you can't touch a hotel for less than $300 a night and all. It's just like, oh my gosh. And I think about you go, and then it's like everybody's so busy you can't talk to anybody. It's not like it used to be.
Yeah,
where you could talk to
it's
people.
nothing like it used to be.
No.
Well, anyway. And that's the deal. The pond just got too big.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, you ready to end her now?
Yep, I'm ready to end it, dude.
Okay. Ending stream.